welcome back to another tutorial on Power Query. This is Trisha Chaktani, and today I am going to show you how you can append data in Power Query. What is the append data in Power Query? If you go onto the Power Query window, there are two options that are available, and one is the append while another is merge. The append query that you can see here is actually used to get the data or get the two queries one below the another. So if I have this one query that I'm looking at, and if I want to add more data into this query, I can just do append queries to get the data just below the existing database. What is in the merge query? The merge query is a little different from append query. Merge query is actually used to get the information from another database which is not available in the current database. It's just like the VLOOKUP function in the Excel, where you have two different databases, and both the databases have something in common. So what you do is, with that common data, you try to identify the another information that you are looking for in the another database and drag it into the current database. So this is the merge queries does in Power Query. So what we are going to do is, what we are going to learn today is we are going to learn the append queries in this tutorial, and in the next tutorial I'll also take you through the merge query. So let's begin. If you look at my database right now, I have two different data that is available with me. One is for the East region employees, and another data that I have available is for the West region employees. So let's look at that. So here is my data for the East region employees. You can clearly see it says East employees. If I have the another database, it's the West region employees. Both the databases doesn't look very clean. So why is the question that I will use the append data or append queries when I have already seen how I can combine three different files or three different sheets together into a single sheet without doing this append and merge. So why increase that work? So that would be very, very useful when you have a data which is not clean, where you have to perform some steps to ensure that the data is clean, and then you can merge the query or append the query depending on your requirement. In our case, you can clearly see that the West employees have some issues in this data, where there is some NAs, there is no data available here, some errors that are available, and if you can see the East employee database also, the headings are not very clear, and there would be some small issues that we will have to check. And first, clean that data. Once the data is clean, after that I can use the append query method to get that appended. Now the steps are saved while, so I will need to be very, very sure that my data is clean. For cleaning that data, I'm going to save those steps. So what I'll do is, I'll start with my East employee data the same way what I did for the rest of them. I go onto the data. Under the data, I go to get from table or range. Once I go onto the Power Query window, you will see that the Power Query or that particular query is already been created. Now what I need to do is, I need to start cleaning this data or making it the format in such a way so that I can start combining that data with another database. The only issue that I can see here with this data to look at is that the heading is not shown properly. It's showing field 1, field 2. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get the header on the top. So I'll use first row as header, which we have already seen in the previous tutorials. So here I got the data. Once I have done this, we have seen how you can load it to a particular sheet. But let's say I do not want to load this because I'm going to use this table or this particular query only to append it in order to get a new query, which is the cleaned database. So what I'll do is, first let me just name this database so that I know which database I'm dealing with. It's the East employees, and then I'll say close and load to. When I do close and load to, this time I'm going to load it as connection only. So what will happen is, when I load it as a connection, the data will not show up on your Excel spreadsheet. So what I'll do is only create connection. You will see that it doesn't ask me where I want the data, whether in a new sheet or existing worksheet, because it only saves as a connection. That means it will be used for appending queries, merge queries, and other things, but you will not be able to see it on your workbook. So I'll just click OK, and you will see on the right hand side that it has been loaded as a connection only query. So this was very, very simple to do that. I'm going to do the same for my West employee data, but if I do it on a different workbook, let's see how it works.
Congratulations on completing the business dashboard using Excel course. Ready to elevate your career? Join our postgraduate certificate in data science and AI and gain exclusive benefits like a complimentary Python programming bootcamp, 7 plus case studies, dedicated student support, and access to our job opportunities portal. Don't miss out on this chance to transform your career. Invest in yourself today and join our program. Click on the link in the description to enroll now and take the next step in your career journey.
If I try to create a Power Query or a query in the another file, it will show up like this, where it will automatically pick up that query and it will stay in that same workbook and it will not show up as a query in my previous workbook. So what I need to do is I will need to first have this database, which is the West employee data. I'll just copy paste, or I can just get the sheet, move to my another sheet, database sheet, and I will add that to my existing worksheet. So I'll have to keep that in the same worksheet so that it is carried as the same query also, or in the same file that the query is generated. So now what I'll do is I'll go on to start with the table or arrange. Once I do that, it will take me to the Power Query editor window again. And this time I'll give the name as West region because that is where the data is coming from, or West employees. The same steps will perform. There are few more steps that we'll have to do here because we need to clean the data in a different manner here. There are some errors also I can see. So I'll just give this the name as West employees. Once I have done that, I think the name is wrong. So once I've done that, I have got the names here. So if you see here, there are NAs that I can see in the middle. So what I'll do is for removing this NAs, I will just filter out the data to say I do not want any NAs to show up. So I'll say NA and I will just remove the tick from NA and the rest of the ticks can stay. And click on OK. But if I do this, let's see what happens. Because when I selected NA and created that or looked for NA, it only selected these databases which were available. So I cannot do that. I will have to look for NA in this list. In order to do that, I'll scroll a little down to reach to the place where I can find NA. So it would be under N. So I'm going to do that and click on OK. Now you can see that the NAs are gone. So it is no more available in this list. The rest looks fine. I'm just going to move the first row as header so that the header is clear. Let me see if there is any other issues I can find. I don't see any other issues. Everything else looks okay. Now I can click on close and load to so that I can create it as a connection again. So I'll say create a connection again. Once I have created a connection, then I will start looking at appending the data. So I will say only create connection and my existing worksheet or where do I want to put the data is gone away. Click on OK and my connection has been created. Now that I have two different queries already available, I can go back and start working on appending this data. So how do I do that is I will first go on to the query. Just click on anything so that you can go on to that query editor. Once I reach to that query editor, on the left hand side, as we had already seen previously, that we will be able to see all the queries that are available in for this workbook. So I click on this and these are the two queries that are available. This time I need to append the data. That means I want the East employees below, sorry, I want the West employees below the East employees. So I've selected East employees query and I'm going to go to append queries. There are two options. One is append queries and append queries as new. So either I can select or I can add the West employee data in the same query which I'm working on right now, or I can always say append queries as new. If I do append queries as new, a new query will be created automatically, wherein you will have both the data, that is east and west, one below the another. So I just do append queries as new, and you can see that it is giving me options. Concatenate rows from two tables into single table. That means you're just asking to get together. So if you have two tables, you can just keep the cursor here only or leave it on two tables and select the second table from the list that you have in the drop down for second table. However, if you had more than two tables, or if you had the third or the fourth table to work with, you can always click on the three or more tables, and from this list you can select which table you want to add to the existing table and click on add. Once you click on add, you will see that the tables to append will have the list which you want to add. Now I have by mistake added two. If I want to remove one of them, I can just select that and click on delete. Once I have done that, you can see that I have the two tables appended. I can also move it up or down. If I want the West employees to come on the top, I can use this arrow key to do that. Click on OK, and my new query will be created, which will have the East and West employees one below the another. I can give a name. So now it says append one, which I can give a name as combined combined employees. I can just call it, and that's where you are with your appended data. So now if you press enter, and now you can also this data. Now you don't need need to have a separate um, connection only file. You can now load this onto the Excel sheet. So you can just say load to, and you have the option to load it to the new worksheet. So I will call it a table and add it to the new worksheet. You can directly move on to a pivot table report also if you need to. As of now, I'm going to say table and a new worksheet. So it will create a new worksheet for me, which will pick up the name from the name of the query. And this is where you are, which has the employee data for East and West region. You can see that by looking at the region option here. Very easily you can identify there is East and West region. And if you look at only the East of employees, you can see that the region is only East in this. So this is how you can use your append data method to get data just one below the another, to combine two different queries or two different data into one. Hope you enjoyed this video. Keep watching for the next tutorial on the merge queries as well, and more on the Power Queries. Thank you.